Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy. Tonight, I will be providing updates on 3 cases that we frequently cover on Parawomenradio. The first will be Gypsy Rose Blanchard and the pesky feds. Suitcase Sarah Boone will be the next one, the Florida woman who zipped her partner in a suitcase and that tragically ended his life. And the latest developments in the Watts family madness. Spoiler alert, the Nimrod is turning on the smexy, sexy Empanada. Stay tuned for all the shocking details on tonight's Parawomenradio, your ultimate destination for a Friday hangout filled with fun banter with your parasocial besties. You may even catch a glimpse of a dragonfly or two and leave feeling cherished, as if all is well in the world. Well, as well as it can be in this world, in this day and age. So come on in. The water's warm or cold, however you prefer it. And let's kick off our Friday night parasocial joyride. I'm going to roll some credits while we wait for the rest of our para besties to roll in. Shout out to the Power Replay crew and my dragonflies. It's Friday, babies.
It's me.
Hi,
I wanted to hear your voice. Call me back.
it's me. I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi.
Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Cavalier strumming his old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never asked why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Here in the blue, I'm dancing with you tonight, and it feels fine. Cavalier's drumming his old guitar again, words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I'd steal them and fly away with you for a while. Here in the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day.
And I never have to miss my cue because I'm here with you on Friday nights with my parasocial besties. I love you guys, and I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. I see main chick Carrie, and I see conspiracy realist and Heaven Lee and Chris C and Tony and Laura Lynn. Thank you so much for kicking off with that super sticker. I really, really appreciate your support. and it means a lot to me. And if I missed anybody, I'm so sorry, but hi, everyone, and welcome. Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 cases today, and I think we're going to start off with Blaine Boone, which is Suitcase Sarah, or aka Sarah Boone. She is the one that zipped her boyfriend, Jorge, or he's also called George Torres, into a suitcase and then proceeded to go and pass out. Hold on a second. I took a vitamin just before this and it's stuck in my throat. Hold on 1 second. Ugh. They always get stuck in my throat and I hate it. All right, so Blaine Boone is up on deck. While I'm getting her ready, if we could just do that algorithm dance party that I like to do, just start warming up your fingers and dancing them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button. We're coming to you today on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hi, everyone, and hi to everybody in the replay crew. I have missed all of you, and I want to do a special shout out to my replay crew because you guys are special to me. Actually, all of you are special to me. You know that. So Blaine Boone, that's Sarah coined that phrase for her. That's her nickname, Blaine Boone. Wouldn't it Boone blame? Boone, I don't know. It just doesn't flow off I try to use it every time, but it doesn't flow. It's just kind of thuds, just like Sarah Boone does. She just kind of thuds right onto your screen. Okay. So Sarah is on her 9th attorney. She went to court and the judge said you will not get an extension. What is happening is the case is going to be going in October. And so her lawyer has been busy filing some things. And so let's go over to True Crime Mountain. He calls himself the Florida lawyer or something like that. So I thought it was really, we've never watched him yet on this channel, I don't think. But what we do is everything that we view during this live, I put down in the description. I often will stop and start things, start or talk over it, or I won't read everything in its entirety, but I do put the links to everything so that you can go, and if you want to continue or if you want to do it without me talking, you can do that. And it's for fair play use. This is what I consider fair play use. Citing your sources, giving people credit for what they do, and kind of making it all juicy so that you want to go over and you want to see them. So that's what I consider fair play use. That's Parawomenradio fair play use. I know that it's not everybody's fair play use, but I think in my mind, that's how it should go. So that's how it goes here.
I'm Dave Aronberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida Lawman here on True Crime MTN.
Lawman, that's it.
And a lot of us were surprised that Sarah Boone, the woman in Florida, Orlando, Florida woman, who is being charged with murder for zippering up her boyfriend in a suitcase and leaving him there to die while she taunted him as he pled for his life, that she has found a 9th lawyer because her previous lawyers have bailed on her. She had 7 court-appointed lawyers, 1 lawyer that she chose at the beginning, and they all left her for various reasons. Some of them said irreconcilable differences. After all, she seems to be kind of a difficult individual, someone who wanted to push her innocence, and she recorded her own alleged crime. I mean, on her phone, she was recording the image of her boyfriend pleading for his life in a suitcase while she taunted him. Now, they were both drunk at the time. She later claims that she's a victim of domestic abuse. And so, you expect to see all these elements that come into her trial. But the judge in this case said, you don't get a 9th lawyer. We're not appointing you any more lawyers. You have driven away all these other lawyers. It's going to trial on October 7th. And that's it. Now, it didn't mean she couldn't find a lawyer on her own. So what she did was she created this one ad where she, in great calligraphy, wrote about what she's looking for in a lawyer, a one ad, and it apparently worked. because Mr. James
I'm
Owens.
very proud of this too. When she was in court this last time, I have never seen that woman smile the way she smiled. It was like a cat eating grin. Although by the end of court, when she didn't get her extension and all that stuff, she looked like maybe she had swallowed something nasty. But in the beginning, she was just all smiles and grins, and I think she really likes this new lawyer.
Of Milton, Florida.
I'm sure it's going to go south at one point because Sarah seems to everybody go south with Sarah. But right now, I think she really likes him.
It's outside of Pensacola. It's up in the Panhandle. It is far away from Orlando. You got to really fly. It's a hard drive if you did it. He is stepping up, and he is becoming her 9th lawyer. And the judge in the case said, okay, you can be her lawyer. You're not court appointed. She's hiring you herself, even though she is indigent, but okay. And as far as an extension, no, you're not getting it because no means no. I said no extension. You knew about the deadline when you signed on for this. So even though you just came in, you have all these new areas to pursue, new evidence that you're finding supposedly of spousal abuse. It's going to trial October 7th. So be ready. Now the lawyer, James Owens, is speaking out. He spoke out on Court TV on Closing Argument. That's Vinnie Politan's show. And it was quite insightful. Here are the top 7 points from the interview. Number 1, the lawyer learned about Sarah Boone's case on TV. He's a true crime fan himself. And he found out about her need for a 9th lawyer through the same show he was just on, the Vinnie Politan show, Closing Argument. He was watching it, saw that she put out a want ad, and that's why he decided to answer the call. Number 2, he waited initially for a local lawyer in the Orlando area to step up because, as I said, Pensacola/Milton is far away. It's a flight, not a drive. And he is not a local lawyer. He is several hours away. And so he anticipated someone locally would step up, and no one did. And so after a few weeks, he decided to do it himself. Number 3, he's doing this because he believes in fair play and a system where everyone has access to a lawyer, especially if you're a defendant in a murder case. And this is a murder case. So Mr. Owens was thinking that this is not right, how someone who is facing life in prison is not going to have a lawyer representing her, even though she wants one. So that was his thinking. And he is someone with a apparent good reputation, someone who's well respected, been around a while. And he decided to essentially shut down his practice to take this client on, because this is a time-consuming case. You got to get up to speed really quickly. So he is putting other cases on hold and is going to do this. Number 4, there were trust issues. He said that Sarah Boone had difficulty trusting him at the beginning, and he felt the same way towards her. Well, okay, I'm not surprised that exists, especially when you have a defendant in Sarah Boone who has been fired by 8 other lawyers. Maybe the problem is her. Maybe there's just maybe.
All right. Well, technically, it wasn't 8 lawyers. It was, I think it was 5 of them. I think 3 of them was like a clash of interest, and they had to excuse themselves. And I think that's what happened. But let's go on with Sarah Boone. Over on Court TV, they have quite a few Sarah Boone updates. Sarah Boone, state asked judge to strike battered spouse syndrome defense. The state has now filed a motion asking the judge to strike the notice of intent to use battered spouse syndrome as Sarah Boone's defense. So that's their newest defense, is the battered where's the sound? The battered wife
suitcase
syndrome.
murder trial. The state has now filed a motion asking the judge to strike the notice of intent to use battered spouse syndrome as Sarah Boone's defense.
Boone officially filed her notice last week. It said this: at the time of the alleged offense, the defendant was suffering from battered women syndrome as a result of the physical and psychological abuse the defendant sustained at the hands of the alleged victim, George Torres. The defense also went on to say it will call forensic psychologist Dr. Julie Harper to testify.
Now, in its motion filed this week, the state said that
And on our last Sarah Boone case, I did, while the case was going, and they mentioned like the psychologist and the private detective, and I wrote down their names, and then while it was playing, I Googled and I looked them up, and then at the end of that, I put up like, who is this woman that's going to testify for her, and who is the private detective, and I think there's a doctor too that they've brought on board. And we also looked up who the lawyer was.
The defendant's notice does not include any particular facts, which, if produced at trial, would allow for Dr. Julie Harper to opine that the defendant suffered from battered spouse syndrome. Therefore, the defendant's notice is legally insufficient, and the court should strike the notice. Now, the state also argues that an expert witness cannot be used as a conduit to introduce inadmissible hearsay evidence, such as the defendant offering the defendant's hearsay statements. Prosecutors are also asking that Boone is ordered to submit to an examination by the state's expert.
Boone is charged with second-degree murder in the death of George Torres. He was found zipped inside a suitcase. Boone initially said it was a case of hide and seek gone wrong. Her trial is going to be something else that's scheduled to
Okay, so
begin
it's
October.
a crazy case of hide and seek gone wrong, I would say. So she did on September 6th, she did the battered spouse syndrome. So that's her, you knew that was going to be her reasoning for why she zipped her boyfriend up. I mean, because don't we all do that? Who's battered? We get them into a suitcase and we zip them up and then we go pass out. I mean, I believe they both battered each other. I don't think they were both battered people. They were putting their hands on each other, and they shouldn't. I don't think I have to say that that's not the way to live. I think we all know that, right? Sarah Boone and Jorge Torres' history of domestic violence. We do have a little history on our channel too. There's the Boone attorney wants to pursue battered defense. So those are the updates on the Sarah Boone case. Let's keep going and let's move over to Chris Watts, the Watts case. Hold on one second. Ugh. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying. If you have anything else to say. Yeah, hide and seek gone wrong. Gone horribly wrong. Sarah is definitely the problem. And Sarah definitely does not think she's the problem, which definitely makes her the problem. When you don't think you're the problem, when you can't see your role in it, then that's the problem. Okay, so let me make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. Okay.
Again, this piece of shit screaming, "I'm in fear for my life. Oh, I don't know what to do."
So recently he was it's really quiet. I don't have my speaker. My speaker's in the other room. Okay, I couldn't figure out why it was so quiet tonight. Can you guys hear it okay? For me, it's quiet. I don't know if it's recording quiet.
So I reached out to a friend of mine who's very close to the prison he's at, and he gave me a rundown of what's going on with Chris Watts. Now, first, you have to understand that the more safe and secured a prison is, the more dangerous it is. So they have all the high, notorious piece of shit chomos with all these high cases, just rats and just pedophiles that have to be put away for their own protection, serial killers. But they're also housing shot callers, the most violent, unmanageable inmates in the state, people who call the shots on the streets and in prison. They're all mixed together. And then you have the COs who have the most violent, unmanageable inmates, some of the highest ranking, most notorious gang members in the state. And then you got the trash, pedophile, chomo piece of shit.
I would really like to interview real killers about what it's like to be inside this prison. It just fascinates me. And I need to get back to doing prison reform talk because I really miss talking about that.
Chris Watts.
I kind of stopped talking about the Watts case for a little bit because every time I talk about it, I get threats and it's overwhelming for me. I know like it's something that I'm learning to deal with as a content creator, but for me, it's really overwhelming to have that happen. So I had kind of like stopped talking about the Watts case, but I'm not going to let people stop me from doing what I want to do. And so I apologize for letting that happen. But I hope that you will come along on this journey. I think I don't hide the fact that I deal with anxiety and depression, and I've had a lot of stuff happen in the last few years to me, and I have a lot of health issues. But I'm also on this wellness journey and trying to become a better person. And and I want betterment for you that are listening and watching me. I want that for you just as much as I want it for me. And so I hope you'll just allow me to learn and grow and get better, because it can be overwhelming. But I want to get back into talking about prison reform, because that's really what weighs on my heart. And one of the reasons I talk about true crime and this kind of stuff is because I think there's a better way to do things and to handle things and to see things and view things. And I think knowledge is power. And so I just think this is all very big and powerful work that we're doing together.
Who killed his 2 little girls, his wife who was pregnant. And if you think for a second, a CEO who's getting disrespected every day and he goes to work can get money, whatever he might be into, women, they have so many ways to show him a life that he never knew existed. And also, while he's bringing in whatever they want him to, all that disrespect stops, because the shot callers say, look, he's with us. Until he fucks up or he's no good, leave him alone. Then you have the straight sadistic CEOs that all you gotta do is go to Google and look them up, that literally go out of their way to get inmates like Chris Watts, or even people, non-violent drug offenders that are doing like 1 year, put in with the worst of the worst to get killed because of a little disrespect. They got a power trip. It's a coward with power. And then
I also am keeping in touch with Dylan. The last I had heard, he's back at Dodge, and I mean, getting settled. I don't know what you call it, what you call going through all of that and getting your bunk and getting settled. And Jamie isn't doing too well, but I do want to bring them on our show still, and create kind of a panel of guests. And yeah,
like I always say, time doesn't exist in prison, only opportunity. That's the recipe for disaster, or some might say for success. So a friend of mine who's close to the prison that Chris Watts is in tells me that he is going through it. In the beginning, they were extorting him, getting his true crime memorabilia, just completely having all his little followers and minions, just bringing whatever they wanted in. Well, eventually that stops. Time goes on and people don't want to keep doing that shit. They don't really care about that shit. Like I said so many times before, when his name dies, he dies. Not necessarily physically, but when you can't reach out to the media and have 20 people lined up to interview him, when his mom isn't recording things, everyone's trying to hear everything, or what's going on here, that's when he's begging to get more media attention, because he knows that without the media, there is no saving him. Because if something happens to him when the whole world's watching, it fucks up the money. People are getting transferred. People are getting fired. It just fucks up everything. So they rather extort.
Have you noticed too that lately the Watts case has gotten a little quiet? I mean, there was the Miller Watts thing, but and doing, like, I haven't done an update on the Watts case, like I said, in a while, and there's not a whole lot out there that's going on with the Watts case.
Constantly put that pressure on him, and then once enough time has gone by, he gets exactly what many people think he deserves. So what my friend told me is he wrote to a media outlet, his family or whatnot, saying he's...
That's amazing, Cats. I'm so happy you've been a Dragonfly for 3 months. Dragonfly is the membership program over on YouTube. I release my videos early to the Dragonflies. There's emojis and other little special things that I like to do for them. It's just an extra way to support me and to support you back. I do promise that this month the stickers are coming out. I'm just waiting for the payment for YouTube, and then I'm going to order the stickers, and then we're going to have stickers and maybe t-shirts. I think I'm going to do stickers and tees.
He's in fear for his life, trying to get out of there, because every day they're fucking with his food. They're poisoning his shit, throwing piss in his face.
Yeah.
And he knows from what he's seen in that prison, that doors get open all the time. People in medical are waiting for you all the time. He's getting called to medical and he's not even putting in requests to go. He's no good anymore. He's no good to the organizations. He's no good to the media. The only thing he's good for is the victim's revenge. A CEO can just take that trash out. Imagine being surrounded by that type of piece of shit, knowing just one click of a button, one gassed up inmate, and it's a wrap. And you have inmates that want to get that badge of honor and be the one that took out that piece of shit.
Yeah, there was somebody just unalived in Dodge. Wasn't it just a year ago or something? A high profile? I can't remember. But someone said somebody, well, it happens all the time. Well, Jeffrey Dahmer, he was in Dodge Correctional. Claire, where did you move to? I didn't know you were moving. I'm glad you're getting settled and can't wait for you to be a dragonfly.
Got the victims that don't forget, friends of the victims, you know, family members, everything you can think of. They're the ones that don't forget. So while he's trying to get a little attention, no one really gives a fuck. They're like, bro, we don't care. You killed your family. You're a piece of shit. There's been enough documentaries about you. We've heard enough about you. You got to go do your time.
Yeah, there's something about prison that really scares me. Like even when I would go in and see the clients, it would make me really nervous. Yeah, it's not a comfortable. Well, I mean, I just went into jail. I didn't go into a prison, but it's not a comfortable place. And I can, like, just even talking, I can bring up the smells. Oh God, the smells.
He's in the cell pacing back and forth. They open up the flat pistol in his face. They say they got a bounty on his head anywhere he goes. And he knows he can't say who or why because he involved his family. This is dark shit of prison, but this is the reality. When you do dark, evil, sadistic crimes, you bring your family into it also. When you hurt women and children in sick, sadistic ways, like I say all the time, it's unfair, but it's the reality. The same way you guys say, oh, well, if you do the crime, do the time. Well, that goes for you sick, sadistic motherfuckers who hurt women and children.
I think it's one of the reasons why his sister Jamie kind of has faded back into the background, because they must be terrified. I mean, and the way he just drags his mom and dad along, it's just horrible. It's horrible. So I hopped over on Reddit to see what was going on, and I thought this was interesting. Someone put MLMs and schmurder. The more I look into this case, the more convinced I am that Thrive played a huge role in this family's downfall. The constant marketing of the family, the toxic possessivity, the financial ruin. Do you think these murders would have occurred had Shanann Watts not leaped headfirst into Thrive? I'm also reminded of Travis Alexander, who met Jodi Arias at an MLM. Oh, was that an MLM convention? Well, he sold insurance. I didn't know it was an MLM though. Only to be unalived by her later. A totally different case, but still an MLM at the center of both. What role, if any, do you think MLMs played in this crime? Certain Noise says, well, they seem to attract lunatics, that's for sure. Dolly Parton Lava says, I think that the insane financial instability that they cause in their relationship was a huge pressure point, which she also contributed to through the abuse of the medical system and prolific spending. These people are agreeing, 100% agree. The financial strain on the family alone, with the delusion that Shanann was ever going to actually make any money contribute. I think she did make money. I don't think she made as much. And I think MLMs are a problem. But I don't think Thrive unalived Shanann and the girls. The weak-minded Nimrod Chris Watts, who had one of his balls in Shanann's purse and the other ball in Nikki's whatever, I don't know, whatever, in her SUV, or I don't know, in her apartment somewhere tucked away. And he's the one. He is the problem. Chris Watts, you are the problem. Also, he told NK that the marriage went bad about the 6-hour mark. That would have been around 2016 when she started thriving, but she did other MLMs before that. So Scream Cheese 99 says, maybe indirectly, I'd agree with that, but not really directly. There was no one single thing that caused the ultimate downfall of this fam. It was literally everything. Thrive played a toxic role in many indirect ways, primarily because Shan hid behind it as a fellow boss babe, so she could not only put on the facade of having a real job and contributing to the expenses, but a real job that gave her all expense paid travel opportunities every other month, unlimited access to all these feel-good vitamins and supplements that turned her into super mom, and even paid for her to roll around in a brand spanking new Lexus. You got to be a SAHM. What does that mean? SH. I know it's an acronym, but I don't know what the acronym is for. Be there for your kids. Just don't mention they're actually in daycare or asleep 24/7, all while not having to punch the clock and join the daily grind. And you feel amazing too. Guys, can you believe it? The correct answer is no. I just wish it wasn't a pyramid scheme, because some of the products in these companies, like there's this one collagen from can't think of the name of it, but it's a really good collagen, but it's from an MLM, and I stopped taking it because I'm just really torn by them. Let me see what you guys are saying. Love like Shanann, boss babe. CW must have thought he'd take over Shanann Watts' income via the pity train. Chris needed a second job, not a second female. I've lost friends to MLMs. It can be overwhelming, cult-like. Yeah, it can be a little overwhelming. Yeah, but I found some friends in MLMs that they just understand. We've kind of like an understanding. We don't, but I love the positivity that it brings, that people, it makes them happy. So I don't know, but it can like be borderline cult-like too. It's the world we live in is very confusing to me. It's a very confusing place for me. Because I can see both sides to things, and then somewhere I have to land somewhere in the middle, and it's just confusing to me. But let's keep
forward. But he is
Chris
not the
Watts
first man to be convicted of killing.
Chris Watts blames the Jezebel mistress for him unaliving his pregnant wife. So that's the new thing. There's been new books that came out by Dylan Tallman, and this is the song and dance that he's doing. But now, just watching that first video, maybe the guys in prison are making him come out with this new song and dance about Nikki to keep the story alive. That's not something I had thought about. What do you guys think? Because it's all lies. Most of it he talks is all lies, peppered in with the truth. That's how good lie. Well, he's not a good liar, but that's what liars do. They anchor their lies with truths. And so, what do you think? Do you think maybe he's doing it for people in prison?
So let me ask you this. You can tell me if I'm wrong. You strike me as somewhat of a shy person.
But after he was sent to prison, Watts finally revealed to authorities what really happened that night, or at least this could be the real story. We honestly will probably never know. But he says after the argument about divorce, he strangled Shanann to death, that it wasn't her killing the kids. And when 4-year-old Bella walked into the room, seeing her mother in that state, he told her, "Mommy doesn't feel good," and wrapped Shanann's body in a sheet. He put the body in his truck and drove it and the two girls to the oil site, where he proceeded to smother the children to death and hid their bodies. Since he went to prison in 2018, Nicole Kessinger has basically dropped off the map, preferring to avoid the public eye. Not surprising there. Police have never said that Kessinger had any knowledge about Watts' crimes. However, now it seems Chris Watts may be placing the blame on Kessinger for what happened. Because in recently published notes from Watts' cell out in Wisconsin, he was moved there, we've learned he labels Nicole Kessinger a Jezebel who destroyed his life. Watts evidently writes letters to God as a form of journaling. In one of those pages from 2020, he writes, "Dear Heavenly Father, I have backslidden. I am like a sheep gone astray from the flock and have fallen into a pit. The snare of the enemy has entrapped me. The words of a harlot have brought me low. Her flattering speech was like drops of honey that pierced my heart and soul." He goes on, "The blessings you have bestowed upon me were right in front of me, and still I followed the perfume of a strange woman. The enemy and his Jezebel mock and scourge me as they celebrate another capture. You, O Lord, did not leave me captive or condemned. You heard the prayer of the destitute and of the prisoner appointed to death." Now, Dylan Tallman was in the cell next to Chris Watts for around a year. He was locked up on drug possession charges, and he told the Daily Mail that he and Watts became friends and studied the Bible together. The two apparently even planned to write a book together. But when Watts backed out of that deal, apparently, Tallman instead turned the writings into a series of his own books called The Cell Next Door. According to Tallman, Watts told him that Kessinger gave him an ultimatum on the night of the murders. "It's your family or me." All right, so with that in mind, and clearly a lot to talk about, I want to bring in prison consultant Justin Paperny to talk more about this. Justin, thanks for coming back here on Sidebar. First, let's, from the basic point of view, it's not uncommon for prisoners to talk to one another, let alone about their crimes, right?
It's cathartic for a lot of prisoners to talk about it. Something we encourage people to do is to really talk less and do more, because problems can follow. And in this case, it's a disastrous crime. And rather than try to show any acceptance of responsibility and own it, as we say, he's continuing to create more pain and shame and devastation for the people that he crushed. So he has no one to blame but himself. And this prisoner who's electing to write these books, he's resourceful. He's been in and out of prison, as I understand, and he's looking for an avenue to bring more attention to his work and hopefully create a path to not return to
When
prison.
I do talk about these books, Jamie has said that she will join me, and hopefully Dylan will too, be able to. But yeah, Jamie said that she would join us.
But it is not uncommon for people to go
I
to prison, to
see
form
the
friendships,
schedule.
to open up, and unfortunately say things that can only make matters worse for people they've hurt. In a high-profile case like this, it's very likely this news would get out.
And sometimes worse for themselves, because how many cases do we cover where there's jailhouse informants? Hey, I had a conversation with this guy, and let me tell you what he said, and then testifies against him at a trial. It doesn't matter for Chris Watts, because he's going to be spending the rest of his life in prison. But talk to me about the religious component of it. Do people, when they go to prison, do they have a newfound lease on religion? Do they become spiritual? Because that's what you're seeing, in a sense, from these Chris Watts notes.
I believe he's using faith or religion as a tool to advance his agenda, that this wasn't his fault. Now blaming his former mistress is tragic. The lion's share of people who go to prison and
Yes, we're blaming everything on Gypsy Rose. Stubbed my toe. F you, Gypsy Rose. Broke a dish. God damn it, Gypsy Rose. I've got a migraine. Ugh, Gypsy again.
faith use it the right way. They want to make their life better. They want to improve. They never want to return to prison. What we have with Watts is a once in a century sociopathic, narcissistic killer. And because of that, he is incapable of reform. He is incapable of introspecting and recognizing that he alone is to blame for this. So it's easier to feel sorry for himself in that prison, blame other people, and cloak it under the guise of faith. Even some of his letters stating that God has forgiven him for his infidelity misses the mark. He murdered his wife, his young children, his unborn child. He's a sociopath. And like I said,
I feel like if he really found God, he wouldn't come out and say those things. He would just do those things, like become a different, better person. and I don't know. When you do something that heinous, the way that you show that things are different is by showing things are different. You can't talk your way out of that. You've got to show something.
In a century type narcissistic killer, though it was so shocking when he was in trouble because he looked fit, he looked healthy. He's a handsome guy, married with children. It's hard for people to comprehend this is what a killer looks like. But in this case, this is a stone cold killer. And it's a tragedy that he's continuing to make matters worse for the victims in this case, including his mistress.
And by the way, I think that's so interesting that people who are locked up, and he's going to be locked up for the rest of his life, they have to try to, it's easy for him to say God forgives him. It's easy to put himself as the victim in all this, right? Because he's trying to make sense of the situation and has to make sense of his life moving forward. But he is not the first man to be convicted of killing his wife or family while having an affair. But do you see this where they usually put the blame on the mistress, that they're the ones who led me astray, that she was the one or he was the one who kind of made me feel I had no choice?
It can't ever be his fault. Thank you so much for the super sticker, Claire. Thank you. It means the world to me that you support me. And thank you so much. And I think I said, Cat's Life, I was so happy that you've been here for 3 months. If not, I'm so happy you've been here for 3 months. But I'm pretty sure I did. Now that I'm thinking.
He's about to kill my family. Have you seen this before?
No, that's why I said once in a century sociopathic killer. It's one thing to commit the crime, which is atrocious and awful. It's another to say, I'm going to make people suffer for my bad decisions for the rest of their life. So what he's done inside of that cell 24 hours a day is somehow rationalize and convince himself that he too is a victim of his mistress or circumstances or pressure, right? No one can go to prison regardless of the crime unless you rationalize. The difference is people rationalize every day. He pursued an opportunity to kill, and instead of somehow trying to make amends, he makes matters worse and uses faith or God simply as a tool to continue to advance his agenda, that he's been forgiven, which then gives him another inside lane or track to continue to blame others because of whatever he does, regardless of what he says, he's going to be forgiven. And I want to make clear to the millions of people who may watch this, most people in prison, even those who have committed violent crimes, accept responsibility and want to find a way better back and do not continue to blame. He is once in a century psychopathic killer.
I was going to ask you if that's particularly frustrating. We talk about the purposes of prison, right? There's a number of different purposes. There's deterrence, there's rehabilitation, there's recidivism, there's a lot of different reasons. But the fact that it is meant for rehabilitation purposes. Now, again, he's not going to be released back into society, but could he accept his crimes? Could he help other people in prison? Could he provide some sort of benefit while he's back there and take acceptance? The fact that he's saying this, and yes, some of these letters are older than others, but the fact that he is at that point doing that, is that particularly frustrating to you that he's not accepting? Which, by the way, right, if the video of him, so he pled guilty and you see him crying in court during his sentencing. And then he admits to investigators afterwards what he did. But the fact that he's still not quite accepting his role in it, that must be very frustrating, I imagine.
It's frustrating and sickening to me as a husband and father of 2 young children. You can imagine the pain for the families devastated by his actions. Now, in speaking with some victims over the years, even in some white-collar crime cases where the losses can be devastating and people end up practically homeless, many will say, it gets to a point where I am numb. I've lost all faith in humanity. So regardless of what my victim does to me, it doesn't matter. So there's a chance that even though he is blaming the mistress who's gone into hiding and excusing his conduct under the guise of God forgiving him, there's a point that the people that he's devastated have said, there's nothing more that this man can do to hurt me. And guess what? I will not let this psychopathic killer hurt me anymore. So there can be a sense of stoicism or calm and acceptance that follows. And frankly, that would be healthy for the victims in this case. But if I'm sickened and saddened and have chills discussing it, you can imagine the people that he hurts. And further, he continues to say things that surprisingly, like Dahmer was killed in prison. It's a good thing he has a lot of security there, because when you kill young children, he is a target inside of that prison. So I can assure you there's a great deal of scrutiny and security from staff. And if any moment they look up, someone who's looking to hold him accountable for what he did and get in the news could look to pounce on him like they did with Whitey Bulger, like they did with Dahmer. And you could argue at some point it's coming if he doesn't shut up, if he doesn't continue to convey a different message. So I will tell victims of crimes, people will continue to hurt you. Primarily the person that has stolen, or in this case, devastated your family. I have such empathy for the families that he continues to do this. I have such empathy for them.
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. He can be locked up, but still continue to create harm, inflict harm and damage. But the idea of him putting the blame on this Jezebel, this mistress that he had, is that a way for him to protect himself in prison? Is that a way to say, hey, to the people around him, say, listen, it wasn't me, it was her? And I was trying to understand why he would do that.
It's so he can sleep. It's so he can find a way to have some meaning on the inside there are people, because of his celebrity, who are enamored by him that might buy into this story. I know he receives letters from women across the country who might be sympathetic to that message. So he does it to advance his agenda, to get through very long, tough days isolated in prison. But he also does it to elicit sympathy with hopes that he can create and find a
little bit about like doing it so that he satisfies whoever's forcing him to do it in prison. And also he does it to satisfy his ego. And it's been said that all he does is write to women. I mean, what else does he have to do? He's in a ward with people that are disabled. And I don't know. He pisses me off.
Romance through written letters in prison. And it's easier to convey that this wasn't my fault. It was somebody else's fault. And there will be gullible people out there who are in need of some meaning in their life who will take the bait and fall for it. So it's simply to advance his agenda. Nothing he has done since killing these people and going to federal prison.
In Hollywood.
Nothing. He has done nothing to put the victims first. It still remains about Chris, and it will probably be that way until he drops dead inside of that prison, or until he's killed.
Talk to me about Dylan.
Are the Dragonfly of the Month, but it's with your old name. Do you not want your old name to be used anymore?
Allman. You know, you have somebody who wants to seemingly profit off of his conversations with Chris Watts. Is that unusual?
It's not unusual. You had Vincent Bugliosi, an author many years ago, who wrote about the Manson killings. I wrote a book called Lessons from Prison on the Inside. My business partner, Michael Santos, wrote more than 20 books in prison. He had been in and out of the system. He's looking for a way to not return, to provide value.
Yeah,
Clearly, there's interest in this story. So if he's doing it in an honest way and he's living a law-abiding life, much like a producer may make a movie about Goodfellas based on the mafia, I think he has the opportunity to share these insights and stories. I see nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. Now, some people would say he's profiting, and some people argued I profited off my book, and I would argue I'm sharing lessons I learned from this experience with hopes of helping people. He's providing insights into the mind of a killer. What's it like to serve a sentence alongside someone who shows no remorse or shame? Criminal justice classes can learn from that. There's value that can come from that. But no, I do not have a problem with people sharing these stories about
I have a hard time
or people that they served time.
I do.
Yeah, and I would say
I really want to believe that each person here is doing something to something, and I cannot find value in him. I just can't. Yeah.
That also, you know, with him, and particularly, I think it's a good, some of the stories we cover, I know people say, you know, they know somebody similar to that, they have a similar situation, and trying to understand kind of these patterns that we see can be helpful for people to kind of spot out some things that might be happening. But also, I think for him, and unfortunately, this is the case that we see, convicted killers become popular on the outside. There are people who get love letters and support. But if you can understand who the real Chris Watts is, so yes, he was convicted of a crime, and that might not be enough for people. Yes, you hear what he did. That might not be enough for people. But if you hear the conversations he had in prison when he's not on television or he's not in a courtroom, that can maybe be a wake-up call to people. This is the guy who should not get any support whatsoever, right? This is the guy who what he's really about. And sometimes the people really open up in prison, and in a way that they never opened up in a courtroom or on TV or anything like that, right?
When you're serving time along, when you're in there 24 hours a day and you're forming friendships in prison, or you have people who are enamored by him because of the TV, and you're going to find people who are sympathetic to him, and you're going to find people that want to align themselves with him. I mentioned earlier when we went on air, my friend and mentor, Dr. Phil, before I filmed with him, he was talking about this case. You know, someone like Charlie Manson can find a young admirer while serving life at Corcoran, or someone like Chris Watts can get letters from people in prison. There's always going to be people who are sympathetic to it. And unfortunately, his parents are still alive. And I'm sure his parents, I know his mother visited him.
Didn't announce it. Giselle is the Dragonfly of the Month. I put Dragonfly of the Month in the opening and closing credits. It's just somebody that's being extra supportive, and each month you'll get in every opening and closing, your name will be up there, along with all the other dragonflies are up there, but you get your name and picture up there. And I changed it over, and Giselle, I added you, but I think it was like during the migraine, like things, this was a really bad migraine. It was bad. It was like where I couldn't think straight, bad. And so, but yeah, I think I forgot to announce it. But yes, you are Dragonfly of the Month. September's Dragonfly of the Month is Giselle.
And she probably goes to see him and tries to offer as much support as she can. She goes there knowing her son is a psychopathic killer. And at worst, or at best, he at least could have tried to make things better for his own family, who, like him, are going to serve a life sentence as a result of his consequences. It comes back.
he has his family in with him in a life sentence, and yeah. So I found another thing on the Watts case. Here is Denty and Shaz, that they say that Chris Watts is living in fear.
Teen crimes were told in the first installment of American Murder on Netflix. Yeah, funnily enough, they were also told in this series that we kind of saw once called the Monster Without a Plan, wasn't it? Anyway, let's get into this article because before we do, just want to let you know.
Okay, we're actually not going to watch it because it's just an article. Let's keep going. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps us go out into the algorithm. If you like my content, consider subscribing. Those are just free ways to help me out. And if you really like my content, please be sure to share. I did see a few people shared my content this week, and it's really, really appreciated when you do that. Get so much up here. I'm trying to find one more. Oh, yes. I wanted to, the final thing I wanted to look at with the Watts case, and then we're going to move on to the Gypsy Rose case, is the house. You know, how could we not do an update without the house? I feel like the house is in character in the whole story in itself. So, you know, a lot's been going on with the house, and this was somebody who went and visited the house in 2024. They posted it 4 days ago. Thought we'd take a peek at it.
I felt an extreme amount of sadness.
Hold on. I really don't know why everything's so quiet. Okay.
Bringing me to tears. It was so surreal.
This is Geneva. I like Geneva's page, and they seem to go to the house quite a bit, I think. Or is it J for Justice? I don't know, but I do like Geneva. Oh my God, it is. You painted it.
Let's pray. Father God, please place your protection over this family. Cast away any and all demons. In Jesus' name, amen.
I feel like I'm going to be
2022.
Doing my trek to the cemetery, to the house, to I want to visit true crime destinations, and I've said this before, and go to true crime cases and just report on the road with you. And I do see myself visiting the Watts house one day.
Reported the Watts house was finally sold 4 years after Chris Watts brutally annihilated his entire family. His wife, Shanann Watts, his 2 beautiful daughters, Bella and Celeste, and his unborn son, Nico. May they forever rest in peace. A private Facebook group post showed it was sold by Location Real Estate in Colorado. The agent shared the news on social media and stated, "Huge congratulations to my buyers on their closing. It took everything we had to get here. So happy for you guys and can't wait to see the memories you make in your new home. May they be happy in their new home." A second added, "That's what the house needed. Love, life, and laughter. I hope they are very..."
It's what it needed, but it's not what it got. So let's move on to the Gypsy Rose case. Hold on one second. Okay. So Gypsy Rose. Let's see what is going on. I really don't know what's happening with the Gypsy Rose case. I know a little bit about the feds and stuff. And I did find something where Nancy Grace was talking about the feds, and I wanted to play a little clip about that. But first, let's look into Miss Nina, Gypsy Rose Blanchard's old fake producer.
Remember Gypsy Rose's fake producer that thought she was producing something and wasn't capable of it? If y'all don't remember, let's spin a block.
Mental health is very serious, but I don't know if y'all remember. There was a lady I posted about yesterday named April Johns. Okay. Now, April Johns used to be Gypsy Rose's old PR person. He also said that she was a producer and an actress, allegedly, and was supposed to produce a documentary for Gypsy Rose. Christy Blanchard, her stepmom, gave this woman her medical records along with other information, including crime scene photos and stuff like that, to use for this documentary. Now, the lady couldn't produce a documentary, couldn't do any of what she said she could do, and they signed a contract before they realized she couldn't do any of this. She didn't produce anything, and the lady signed a contract in a fake name, for starters. So the contract's really not valid. It's kind of fraud because of the fact that she's not who signed it. Like, that's not her name. Okay. Now, the Blanchards, which was Gypsy's family, filed charges. They were trying to get a restraining order and a suit against her about 2 weeks ago. They ended up having it all dropped when she went to court because it was out of the jurisdiction that it was filed. Now, fast forward, this lady goes to the court. They end up dropping it. She ends up getting into it at the hotel with Gypsy Rose's attorney's staff member.
Is this old?
She ends up losing it. She claims it's the other way around, but criminal charges have been filed against her. Now this lady just made a video, and I'm telling you, you gotta make sure you put that stuff in people's applesauce in the morning because everybody ain't right. But y'all gotta check this out.
Hey guys, it's Fancy. You're watching the Good Vibes Network, and I have an update on our case in Missouri for you all. Very interesting update. Something I don't understand how it's even happening, but it is, folks, and it's very strange. Remember, this is all allegedly, in my opinion, for entertainment and educational purposes only, and the views of the host do not necessarily reflect the views of the company. Let me get you a picture real quick. So, do you see this man right here, Adam Warren? Nice little mug with his little wife, right? Guess who also Adam Warren is? It's a prosecuting attorney on the false report case that Sarah and I are facing in Missouri. Do you know who else he is? He's also Blue Shirt Guy. This is the man that assaulted Sarah. And he is the prosecuting attorney accusing us of filing false reports to the judge.
So this must be old because I know now that the narrative is different, that Fancy and Sarah are no longer friends and that it's all Sarah who did this, right?
Who is his very dear good friend, Richard Leamer, Dick Leamer, who commented on this Facebook post up here of his about his son doing something with some sports thing and how he was so proud of this man's son. Tell me this ain't corrupt without telling me this ain't corrupt. So with that being said, how in the F is this legal?
Now, this lady has always been known to embellish things. And I hope somebody tags Mike Stanfield and this prosecuting attorney in this because they need to see this. And, you know, something makes me wonder, if you know you're going to court for charges, why would you come on the internet and what she's saying is she's alleged? But if this is the guy that you're saying was there, is it really?
I don't think Fancy can control herself. She is very wrapped up in this case, very in deep with this case, and I don't think she can control herself.
Alleged? Or are you just coming on here making up stories? I don't know. That's alleged because I don't know. But what I'm saying is I know this lady embellishes things, and I know she ain't right all the way upstairs.
Now, this woman says that I am constantly lying about things. I decided to disassociate myself from this woman for multiple reasons, but one main thing is I never felt as though she wanted justice for Nicholas Godejohn or justice in this situation. I feel as though she wants revenge at Christy Blanchard and Gypsy Rose, and that would be the wrong reasons to pursue anything.
Yeah, I think there's a revenge component and also a fame component. There's a definite fame component in there. But she has done things that other people, she's uncovered things that other people haven't. Yeah, Fancy is an interesting one.
Anyway, this lady filed something in the court this week that blew my wig cap back when I seen it the other day. I was going to leave it alone, but since she came for me, I'm going to just go ahead and let y'all know how off the wall this lady is. So she was denied a public defender, and so this is what she sent to the courts. She said that she was basically writing to let them know that she was never formally served, which obviously was months ago. However, even though she wasn't formally served, she was notified and she was made aware, and she's filed things with the court. So that's null and void. So I don't even know why she brought this up. Then she proceeds to talk about not knowing whether or not this case will end up having her serve jail time. Now, what I think is ironic is she docks the judge and the prosecuting attorney, and now is writing to the judge.
Jeez.
Does that not tell you that somebody forgot to put something in her applesauce? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just asking a question. That's all I'm doing, okay? So she says that she wants this to be dismissed. And I've seen that it was denied and she has to be back in court in October. Now, the prosecuting attorney offered her
after it was dismissed. She was like, "Oh, it's dismissed, blah, 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 blah." And everyone's like, "Well, they're going to just take it to a different court. It's just, you know."
But she's not willing to accept because she said she didn't commit any crimes. Now, you heard in that video, she was saying that Sarah was assaulted.
She did
But
say
now
that.
she's saying that she never really said any of that. That never really happened. And it's all Sarah's fault.
That is a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Now, look, I don't like Sarah, but I think Sarah's in the right in this situation, right? Now, she's saying that this civil suit was leaked into the media outlets like TMZ and various independent content creators for the sole purpose of defaming her. No, ma'am, you put this on the internet first, so I don't understand how that would be defaming or discrediting you. We could only talk about what you actually did with your own actions. But, you know, of course, you're going to say that's a lie. It seems real gypsy-ish to me. However, she also says that she is a public figure being stalked and harassed and bullied by massive groups of online people.
She
attached to Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her family.
She does have that happening to her, though, and I have said that, like, that must be horrible. Having people start entire groups about your cookie, that just no.
Now, she talks about she was live on YouTube and something got delivered to her house via DoorDash. I believe it was one of her followers. I'm not really sure, but it seemed as if it wasn't a threat. Okay. Now, she goes on to say that she was kidnapped by Sarah. Sarah did the kind gesture of taking her
kidnapped. She was kidnapped. When I first saw that and nobody mentioned it, I saw it like a week or so ago, and I literally thought maybe I dreamed it. Maybe I dreamed that Fancy is now saying that Sarah kidnapped her and spent lots of money on food during this trip. This woman took her time out and drove this other woman because Fancy can't drive. That is just a mess. Just a complete mess that I am so glad is not part of my life.
to court. And now she's saying that the lady tried to kidnap her? What? See, that's why you don't do favors for people that don't eat their applesauce in the morning. Now, she's also blaming Sarah for a false report. Girl, you the one who persuaded her to do it. So now she's saying before she arrived at court that Sarah Anderson participated in defaming her. Now, look, like I said, Sarah and I do not get along. But one thing I will say is Sarah rode very hard for Fancy. Very hard. I have seen her reach out to people, and she was a rider for Fancy. So this is foul, okay? Now, the lady used her own gas money to take Fancy to court. And this is what she's doing to the lady.
That's horrible, you guys. Whoops. That's horrible. Oh, I love watching this herd elephant orphanage in South Africa. They have the little albino elephant. I just love Ellies. And they just lost their little their Philbani the baby elephant died. It was just horrible. But yeah, anyway, that's what I do when I'm not watching Gypsy Rose stuff. I gotta go to the good stuff and watch some
Gypsy
real
Rose
good
is
stuff.
spiraling.
Let's keep going. Here we have Nina. I like Nina a lot. I don't agree with everything Nina says. Like, I think she said something about she wouldn't pee on Gypsy Rose if she was on fire, and she did say something about some woman and her children. But I don't agree with everything. But for the whole, I really like Nina, and I respect her integrity, and I don't think she's a liar at all. In fact, she says exactly what she thinks, and to me, I respect that more than people who don't, or people who don't.
As you guys know, she did that video about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, crying about how, she really loves Ken and he makes her so happy. And that video was really for Ken and not for us. But Smiley Jen just posted a video that I feel like you all need to see. And y'all gotta go follow her because this was some good content and you can tell that she really dug for this.
And I cannot make this up. We all heard the video. Oh, I'm going to this thing. It's called Rebirth. It's like a parenting counseling. Okay, so let's have a look. I just saw this. I stopped what I was doing. I went back. I was like, I have to screen record and do a blind react with you guys.
It seems like when I moved over and started talking about Gypsy Rose, you guys started having problems in chat. So it's very strange. So F you, Gypsy Rose. F you.
Because when I saw this, my jaw hit the floor and I knew that you guys had to see this with me. So first off, let's have a little look.
For me, Gypsy Rose is just like Chris Watts, only Gypsy Rose is out among us. She is the same as Chris Watts in my eyes. And so I have no problems. Although, Gypsy did. I do think Gypsy was abused. I do think the things that Dee Dee did was abusive. Not on a live your mother abusive, but she did do abusive things. But so maybe I feel a little bit more sorry for Gypsy than I do Chris, but I don't know. I don't like Gypsy Rose at all.
Rebirth. Oh, professional perinatal counseling. She says it's couple counseling, but I don't think so. Okay, we specialize in diagnosing and treating perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. Oh, is this kind of like the freakouts you were having with Nick? Oh, it sounds like it. Are you now blaming it on being pregnant? Interesting. I mean, not to minimize, and not validate all of the things you could be going through, but you've been doing that to everybody else by telling everyone else that their experiences aren't real because yours are more valid. Everyone, in your chat tells everyone else that, they're crazy. So I just figured I would have a look here. So very interesting that you're having such a hard time already. Wow. All right. So you're already going through this. Now,
she's already
now I do
saying that
really
she has postpartum depression. Is she already saying she's? Oh my God! I haven't spoke about her in a few days, and that old feeling that just creeps up in my heart and my stomach that just kind of like grabs it and sucks the air out of it, and just this woman is getting away with this shit. I'm sorry, I'm swearing a lot tonight.
I really hope and pray that this does help you. Because, babe, you need it. CBT, really hope this helps you. I'm not sure their level of skill, because, girl, you need it. No, nobody needs to go and dox anybody here. This is simply for educational and entertainment purposes. This is just to bring awareness. Many of us have had children. Many of us have gone through many of these things.
I have a suspicion that YouTube has put something in the algorithm that when you type in certain words, you're going to get in trouble. I have this feeling because when I was over on TikTok, I couldn't put in the word Dee Dee Blanchard. And I just have a feeling that something's happening over on YouTube, that they've done something. I don't know what it is, but I just have this feeling.
Unfortunately, it was very strange that someone who was just announcing their pregnancy with the test was already showing these signs, which seemed to be a little bit of a red flag, seemed to be a little bit, maybe alleged malingering, in my opinion.
So I have experienced crazy mood swings. Like, poor Ken. If he breathes wrong, I am just like, ah!
Somehow, you just so happened to need to go to this kind of a place to, your fear of Ken leaving you is now that, these are the things going on and you need support with that. Good for you that you're reaching out for help. I just hope you aren't shifting it all onto
An
Ken.
educated Gypsy Rose is a dangerous Gypsy Rose, in my opinion.
For educational and entertainment purposes, this is all alleged.
This is all alleged, in my opinion, my research. I urge everyone to go out there and do your own. This is just for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Because I am so... I am so in love with this man. In the 5 years that we were separated, I was in pain. I couldn't get over him. I always felt lost. I always felt like my person was within reach. I just couldn't get to him. And I felt like the time that we had together while I was locked up, like we were robbed of a real relationship, of a real chance together. Like, most people, when they break up on the outside, they know that their relationship is not
you
gonna
were
work.
robbed because you had to go to prison because you unalived your mother. Man, you were gypped, Gypsy Rose.
Know that they did everything they could, like they had a real shot. But we didn't have that. We were robbed of that. We couldn't have a normal relationship at that time. And so now that we can, like, that is something to treasure. That's something to hold on to. I just can't express enough.
And when she does this whole looking off into space talking, it's so annoying.
How happy he makes me.
And it's so fake. It's so fake.
I know, like, I'm bawling right now. It's just, I'm so emotional.
You're bawling. Okay.
We're having a baby. We made a baby together.
I just worry for that man that he's now taking the brunt of these freakouts that you have spoken so much about in the past. Hopefully that's not the case. Anyway, hope y'all have a great day.
Oh, he for
Enjoy.
sure is taking the brunt of the... Of course.
He knew what he was getting himself into. He knew that she wasn't right. But I think it's crazy that she's having these little freak out moments on camera. And they're not for us. They're clearly for him. But then she turns around and gives the man a promise ring. Ain't no way I'm going to give somebody's dusty, jobless son a promise ring. I just said what I had to say. Okay.
She is married and she's giving another man a promise ring. Welcome to 2024. All right, let's keep going. I want to just pop on and show, we're going to talk about the Fed issue with Gypsy Rose, but I was watching Nancy Grace, and I wanted to just show you this quick clip where she talks about the Feds. She actually worked for the Feds. Yeah, okay.
And more. What's next? First, let me address what I'm hearing about the Feds. Can I tell you? I was a Fed for 3 years. They didn't put one toe into the courtroom until they had literally rooms full of boxes full of evidence. I know that. Let me go straight out to Nima.
That really caught my attention when she said that, because there's a lot of talk about possible federal charges with Gypsy Rose. Now, I don't want her to go back to prison because she's doing all this bullshit for 2 months and then just come right back. I don't care about that. It's such a waste of our money and just, whatever. Send her back for good or for a longer period of time. That's what I want. Oops. Hold on 1 second. I didn't switch it. Hold on. Sorry about that, you guys. I didn't share the tab. Okay.
Miss Jip is going to the big house. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Ash Too Trippy, and I like true crime, conspiracy theories, and gossip. And sometimes we blur the lines in between all three. And did you guys hear? Miss Gypsy Rose Anderson is getting new charges, allegedly. So if you guys didn't already see, CaseNet, which is a Missouri-based system, has taken all of Gypsy's current records off. You might be wondering why. I wonder why they did that. Is it because the public? Because social media? No, none of that, because this is public information. It's because they're working on new charges. So they're trying to keep a lot of the evidence away from eyes so there's no bias if a trial comes in. That's how legal things work. You get out of jail, you keep grifting, you get in trouble. I have a feeling this is going to be for fraud.
I think she is going to get in trouble for fraud because I just have this feeling that she's going to get in trouble for something because they don't like their face being rubbed in it like what she's doing.
I have a feeling that she's not going to be the only one charged because her family has been so nonchalant and so untouchable, and they just continuing to make mistake after mistake after mistake and admitting that they knew that Gypsy wasn't sick the whole time to everyone, and everyone's hearing it and they're like, you need to go back to jail. But again, this is all alleged. However, I have heard from very close sources in Missouri that work over there that the court cases, this is what happens when a new charge is going to be filed against somebody. So she's going to the big house.
You can only hope that happens. I really do want that to happen. Okay, so I found this too. We're going to move on from the Fed charges. This is more annoying stuff. This is old stuff that was dug up. This is Gypsy Rose has taken it too far. Listen to what Christy has to say about her favorite celebrity.
With my stepmom, Christy, and my two favorite celebrities would have to be, celebrity crush, Jason Momoa.
Very disappointed that that's her crush because I would say that's my crush too, and it makes me kind of like go, ugh. Not like he's with her or anything, and not like he's with me, but it's just kind of like, ugh.
I would just die if he was in front of me, and Taylor Swift.
Oh, okay. So are her and Kelsey, is this the one?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
They look good together.
Okay, and you've been to a Taylor Swift concert.
I have not.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Okay.
I want to.
Okay, we got to make sure she sees this so we can get you at the concert.
Contact Gypsy.
And then what about you, Mom?
Oh, my favorite actor, Brad Pitt.
Yes.
My celebrity right here.
Oh,
I find it look at the look. Did you see the look on that guy's face behind her when she said that? Let's just take a look at that.
Celebrity right here.
Oh,
so touching.
His face. Ah. Also, I thought it was pretty ironic that Brad Pitt was her celebrity crush, seeing as Brad Pitt left his wife, Jennifer, for Angelina and did that whole, cheating stuff. Interesting that that's her crush.
There's this video making rounds on social media featuring Christy, Gypsy Rose's stepmother, referring to Gypsy Rose as her favorite celebrity. Well, this has sparked a heated debate online, with many arguing that Gypsy Rose doesn't qualify as a celebrity. They point out that a celebrity is typically someone celebrated for their achievements or contributions to the society, whereas Gypsy Rose's claim to fame stems from her involvement in a highly disturbing murder of her mother. Many are quick to label Gypsy Rose as infamous rather than famous, highlighting that her notoriety.
I don't know why you're getting blocked because I don't have any moderation on I don't have any words that you can't say. So it's got to be YouTube.
Variety stems from her role in a shocking true crime story rather than any positive accomplishment. This has led to a discussion about the blurred lines between fame and infamy in modern society, with some arguing that the term celebrity has become too loosely applied, and honestly, I can't agree more. The video has ignited a firestorm of opinions, with some defending Christie's right to admire Gypsy Rose, while others condemned the stepmother's perceived glorification of her stepdaughter's actions. In my personal opinion, Christie's comment is not only tone-deaf, but also deeply disturbing. By calling Gypsy Rose her favorite celebrity, Christie seems to be glorifying her stepdaughter's involvement in her mother's brutal murder. This perception is utterly shocking, as it implies that Christie views Gypsy Rose's actions as something to be admired or celebrated. It is very disturbing that a mother figure would condone, let alone praise, such a heinous act, and this attitude raises serious concern about Christie's values, judgments, and empathy. To me,
I think we already had serious concerns about that. But hey, Veronica, let's keep going. I have this Gypsy Rose and Ken Urker in trouble. Engagement rumors.
To the latest drama surrounding Gypsy Rose and her boyfriend Ken, where word on the street is that Gypsy Rose and Ken are engaged. Yes, you heard that right. The couple is reportedly taking their relationship to the next level, and this sudden development has left many people surprised and wondering if Gypsy Rose is rushing into things. Is she ready for this new chapter, or is she doing too much too soon? The news has sparked.
She's married, possibly pregnant with the husband, but with another guy, saying it's his baby, gave him an engagement ring, unalived her mother, has an autistic guy in prison for life. I mean, all I can say is welcome to 2024.
A lot of interest and debate.
I wouldn't be surprised if Gypsy lands on like Time Magazine 2024. That would make her head explode.
But that's not all, because if this is true and she's doing it, she might be looking at some legal troubles because of the matters we are going to be talking about in this video. So according to their wedding registry, Gypsy Rose and Ken are planning to tie the knot on September 22nd, 2024. But here's the thing. Gypsy Rose is still married to her current husband, Brian Anderson, and according to sources, the soonest she can get divorced from him is January. It looks like Gypsy Rose is planning to marry Ken before her divorce from Ryan is even finalized, and this is getting messy, folks. But it's not only getting messy, but also problematic. If Gypsy Rose and Ken go through with their September wedding plans before her divorce from Ryan is finalized in January, they'll be venturing into dangerous legal territory of committing bigamy. Yes, you heard that right. Bigamy. By marrying Gypsy Rose while she's still technically married to Ryan, Ken would be entering into a legally invalid marriage and potentially facing serious legal consequences. Bigamy is a crime which involves marrying someone who is still married to someone else, and it is not something to be taken lightly. This is no longer just a scandalous celebrity romance, it is a potentially criminal situation. So, for more insight, bigamy is defined as the act of entering into a second marriage while the first marriage remains legally valid. There are two kinds of bigamy: an intentional bigamy, where someone enters into a second marriage by mistake, and intentional bigamy, meaning someone has deliberately broken the law, which is what Gypsy and Ken are doing. In either case, bigamy is a crime in the United States. They say that, yes, bigamy is a crime in all U.S. states. However, the penalties for bigamy vary greatly by state, with Utah having...
How many countries is it not a crime in? That's actually... I've been doing a lot of trying to get my mind out of true crime, and I like to go into history and watch history things, and I've been watching these history things. And did you know that we used to sleep in 2 sleep cycles? We used to, like, when the sun would go down, we would go to sleep like right away and sleep for about 2 or 3 hours and then get up and, eat, exercise, have sex, do whatever, and then go back to bed about 3 or 4 for your second sleep. And so you sleep, we're not meant to sleep in one solid block. And so I'm going to try these 2 sleep things, but it makes me wonder, like, I'm trying to think what countries have multiple wives.
The least severe penalties. Committing bigamy in the United States is against the law, and those who engage in bigamy can be subject to criminal and civil penalties. In order for someone to be criminally prosecuted for bigamy, it must be shown that a legal marriage exists between 2 people. The first marriage was never broken or ended in divorce. A second marriage was entered into, and the second marriage was legally valid. Each state sets its own laws and sanctions when it comes to bigamy. Offenders can be sentenced to jail time ranging anywhere from months to years, or fines ranging from hundreds to thousands of dollars. In addition to criminal consequences, civil consequences may apply, especially if the marriage produced children. Children born out of either marriage in a bigamy case are often entitled to child support and can have legal rights to an estate upon a parent's passing. Well, it's still up in the air, but here's the thing. When confronted about the engagement rumors in a comment section, Gypsy Rose denied it, saying that she and Ken are not engaged. However, I find it very hard to believe Gypsy Rose about anything. Let's not forget that this is the same woman who initially lied about being pregnant and has a history of dishonesty. In fact, she's even admitted to lying about many things in the past.
With that spaghetti. Let's keep going. Okay, we're going to head over to TikTok. Oh, hold on. Oh, the video I was going to show isn't available. What was it? Well, over on TikTok, Chris C sent me some things. Let me see what I have up. Hold on, this video's gone. Let me see if it's in my messages. And my laptop is moving at the speed of snails because I've got so much up right now. Let's see what we have. What was that you sent me? Okay. It's gone. It was something I was interested in too. Dang it. Okay.
As a possum for Halloween.
Oh my God, people, you should. People would die. Dr. You and Kate
Gypsy, it makes sense. You have a baby in the pouch.
I know. And people think that it's an insult to me, but my aunt has been calling me possum since I was born. And so
I don't do that. I don't talk about the way people look because it's really uncomfortable for me because I've been made fun of. And I just don't think it would be right for me to make fun of the way somebody looks. But she does have a possum look. And to me, this is her reclaiming it. I think that's beautiful. Claim it. Be a possum. Do it. If your aunt was calling you possum, I mean, she looks like a possum. She does. There's other people that have that little possum look. There's other people that look like little bears. There's people that look like rabbits. It's a look.
Like, I laugh at it. I'm like, I see the resemblance. I think my eyes look like possum eyes, so I agree.
Well, if you do Gypsy, just make sure you hang upside down by your tail in a tree.
You can make a tail and everything.
Send us a picture.
You should come on Bree's panel, and this is Hello Starlight, and she had part 1, 2, 3, and 4, and for some whatever reason part 1 is gone, so we're just gonna pop in. We're in part 2.
Sure, Bree gets to touch the tail.
You know what? I think that'd be so. You should even if you don't you can dress up more than one thing. You can do like 2 different costumes. I think you totally should, and like you should make a video of you in the possum costume because that's the best thing when people think that you're bothered by something when you're not. And they're like, I shared that because when I was at the gender reveal, we talked about this and you were like, I think it's cute. And I said, I was like, I told y'all, like, she don't care about that. It's not that con. It's so cute. I think it's cute. I don't even see it.
I never really watched Brie, but she's really up her ass, isn't she? Like, we need to dig Brie out.
So
I think Lucky needs to be the mascot for your lives, Brie.
I know. We should get a little picture. We definitely need a sticker. We need to get a good picture of
the koala? The koala would be jealous.
No. Well, you know what?
Okay, so she's talking about being a possum. I'm actually a little bit worried about showing these things if she is deleting them. Ugh. I hate that Thanks, Gypsy Rose, for making me afraid of being copyright strucken. Thanks, Gypsy Rose. Welcome to 2024. This is part 3. This is another thing I am streaming it from Hello Starlight. So I say this almost every live that I do with Gypsy Rose. I have her blocked. I can't even see her stuff. I don't go to her page. I don't try to provide any money for her. I go to my favorite content creator that is reporting on it, and I go to their page and I report from their page because Gypsy doesn't deserve this money. She doesn't. You do lie. You lie. Oops, sorry, I popped off the page and I have to stay on it. Oh, poor Gypsy Rose. The stuff she has to go through, it breaks my heart. In fact, it just actually lights a fire in my stomach and makes me wanna breathe out fire right on Gypsy Rose. Well, that makes me feel good that Gypsy Rose is sleeping like a baby after she unalived her mother. I feel good. That makes me feel really good. It actually makes me want to punch a wall, to be honest with you.
Oh, when will season? And actually, it's season 3, y'all. So the documentary was or whatever. It was season 1. Yeah. So do you know when?
Anyways, when is season 3 going to be?
I am contractually not able to say.
You cannot say. You cannot even say if there will be a season 3.
I cannot speak on that.
But I think
we don't know. We don't know. It's in the air. Yeah. So I don't even know what y'all talking about. Like, we don't even know.
So basically, she just said there's a season 3 to her stupid show. This was kind of funny. The powerful story of a woman and her Chef Boyardee spaghetti. So this is her bawling, crying into space. She made Ken spaghetti and he came home man, and he acted. Has anyone seen this new Beetlejuice? Just wondering if it's any good. And then finally, I have this.
When is season 3 going to be?
I am contractually not able to say.
You cannot say. She cannot even say if there will be a season 3.
I cannot speak on that.
But I think
we don't know. We don't know. It's in the air. Yeah. So I don't even know what y'all talking about. Like, we don't even know.
Right. What are we talking about?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Willis?
Yeah. What talking about, Willis? Ain't no season 3. Oh, that's what they meant, season 2. Season 2's already out. Duh. I don't even know how they view it, because if you're viewing it as The Prison Confessions was season 1 and then Life After Lockup was season 2, I don't know how people view it.
Technically,
Technically it's considered season 2. Mm-hmm.
It'll be your 3rd Lifetime show.
If they have it. Right.
Yeah.
If they do it. Duh. But,
So she will have her 3rd Lifetime show coming out. Unless she goes to the prison. Unless the feds come and get her. That's our only hope. The feds. Oh my gosh. Our only hope is the feds. That's terrifying. Truly terrifying. Oh, happy anniversary tomorrow. Main chick Carrie. I hope you have a good night. She's smug. You can literally hear it in her voice. Yeah, it grosses me out. I don't know. I feel sorry for what happened when she was younger. Me too, Tony. But after 18, she could have gotten up and walked away. Yeah, she could have. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, no, I was having problems with the sound tonight. I don't know. I think it's because I don't have my speaker. It's out in the other room. The bird chewed through the cord, and I can't find another cord to charge it. So it was out in the other room. I was trying to charge it. So anyway, I'm irritated. So now I'm irritated at the bird, and the bird's sleeping. He went to bed very nicely, and he just chewed through a cord. That's all. All right, guys, I think that's all I have for tonight. Let me make sure. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope you all had a good night. What was it that you were going to tell me about the Watts case, Giselle? She learned the art of using people. Yeah, she learned it, and she does it really well. She's very good at it. She's good at it because at the same time, she tries to make people feel good about themselves. So she's very good about that. Bitch has more money than me. She's very well off while we all struggle. Yeah, it's really frustrating, but got to keep reaching for the next best thing, because when it all is done and said, I would not want Gypsy Rose's life, no matter how much money she has. That's too much stress, and I can't. Yeah, I have mom problems, but I would never want my mom not to be living. So okay, guys, that is definitely all I have for tonight. I have a few videos that I've done in the past that kind of honor the victims in this case, and then I have one on Suitcase Sarah. I'm going to take us out on that. They're short, with Serena Matthew music. So I'm going to go. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I missed everyone, and I didn't have a migraine today. No, I had to take a little migraine medication today. I think I got so stressed out about some things in my life that I just had to go through it. Like I'm just going through it. I can't hide from my emotions anymore, and I'm just going through it. And it has to come up and out. And I think some of it is coming out through various ways, pain. And I also think that I just think that something magical is happening, to be honest with you. I'm the woo-woo girl, and I think something magical is happening with me, and it makes me feel really happy. And I hope I'm right. So thank you, Laura Lynn, for the super sticker. Cat's Life, thank you for being here for 3 months, a dragonfly. Thank you, Claire Harper, for the super sticker, and I hope that you are settling nicely to your new home. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. If nobody's told you this today, and oh, wait, no, you're saying what happened. Let me see. Did you notice when NK had her interview with the detective, she has on a jacket with a shirt under it in August? Yeah, it was pretty hot. But didn't it go into September, some of the interviews? I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Okay, guys, if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm going to tell you this. I love you guys so, so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
It's me. I wanted to hear your voice. Call me back.
It's me.
Hi.
You just call me back when you have a chance. Bye.
It's me.
Bye.
I wanted to hear your voice. Call me back.
I should go tonight. Then I'll do my best to leave. But as fate has so decided now, I simply cannot find a way. Am I doomed to travel endless roads and spend my days and nights with broken things? I wish that I could kiss your pain away. I still feel that we were meant to be. Now I stare beyond that broken door. How I wish that I could stay. If we spin around in circles, babe, can't we somehow float away? I think I'll cut down that old willow tree. Do you remember that old tree? I will break it into pieces, babe. Oh, cowboy, my dime store cowboy, where are you? Where's my dime store cowboy? Plastic pony at his knee, rubber bullets inside that gun, and that's good enough such a wonderful picture.
You got yourself a chirpy one.
Where are you? I need you. I can't make it here. Oh, cowboy, rescue me. Do your job gracefully.
Hi guys, welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly. Deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Here in the blue, I'm dancing with you tonight, and it feels fine.